Gibson. That's Kurtgibson. I'm an aviation accident investigator for the National Transportation Safety Board, or NTSB. First and foremost, I would like to give my personal as well as the entire NTSB's condolences to the friends and family of the victims of this tragic accident. I arrived on scene approximately 4 p.m., so I've only been here for a few hours, so my information is very limited, but I will give you what I have. At approximately 10:25 a.m., a Cessna 310R built in 1977, November 8930 November, impacted terrain in the vicinity of the Boca Raton airport. The airplane departed at about 10:15 this morning from the Boca Raton airport and had a destination of Tallahassee International Airport. There were 3 people on board. All were fatally injured. And there is one injury in a car on a roadway. I do not know the condition at this time of that person. Our mission at the NTSB is to figure out what happened, why it happened, and what we can do to prevent this from happening again. Right now I'm in the preliminary stages of the on-scene, which I expect to take a couple of days. After which, the airplane will be recovered to a secure facility where the investigation will continue. Right now I'm just collecting perishable data that might get lost during the recovery process, interviewing witnesses, and collecting ATC data. Back in the NTC headquarters, we've got ATC experts, as well as the drone team came out here to photo document the scene, and the investigation will continue well after the on-scene portion. In about 30 days, I'm going to release a preliminary report, which will have just the preliminary factual information that we have at that time. In about 12 to 24 months, a final report will be released that will have the probable cause, the analysis, as well as all factual information provided. If there are any witnesses to the accident, or if anybody in this local area has a Ring camera or some other type of doorbell camera that might have caught the accident on their camera, or at least caught the audio, I ask that you contact witness@ntsb.gov. Again, that's witness@ntsb.gov. We'd really appreciate it. At this time, I'll take a couple of questions. Please say your name and who you're affiliated with.
Larry from CBS News Miami. What do you know about the mechanical failure, and did the pilot communicate to air traffic control a difficulty turning in one specific direction?
I'm not aware of any mechanical failure at this time. We're just collecting the initial data right now. I do know he was in contact with ATC, and that'll be part of my investigation. Perishable data, I'm collecting prop strikes, anything on the ground strikes, anything that the airplane might have hit beforehand. Witnesses, after a time, they'll start losing their memory or whatnot, and we lose track of them, that type of data.
We were told by a flight student who was at the airport that the pilot may have been having a rudder problem. Could that explain why the plane crashed?
I'm not going to speculate at this time. I'm only going to provide factual information. I know he was in contact with ATC. I know we've been interviewing witnesses, and that'll all be part of the investigation.
How long was the plane in the air after it took off before it tried to make it back to the airport and crashed?
According to the ATC data that we have, it seems it was in the air approximately 8 to 10 minutes. I have not heard the ATC tape, so I can't comment on that right now.
Will you be releasing information?
The NTSB does not release any information about the people on board. That's left up to the local authorities.
Did the plane strike the car when it came to the ground, or do you know?
At this time, I do not know about that. The car is damaged, but we don't know if that was from an impact with the aircraft or the post-fire damage.
I'm sorry, I missed the beginning of the presser, so apologies if you said this already, but where did the plane exactly crash? Did it crash on the tracks, the railroad tracks?
A portion of the wreckage is on the train tracks.
So it crashed on the train tracks, or it
impacted prior to the train tracks, and a lot of the wreckage is on the train tracks at this time. Any further questions?
Is that particular plane generally considered a very sturdy, durable, safe plane, a Cessna 310?
The Cessna 310R has a very long history of being a safe aircraft. We will, of course, be looking at it. The 3 things we always look at. We always look at the pilot. We're going to look at his pilot qualifications. his 72-hour history, anything else that might be going on in his life. We're going to be looking at the aircraft. We're going to be looking at the maintenance records. We're going to be going through the wreckage in detail when it gets recovered to a salvage facility. And then we also look at all the environment, such as the ATC, weather, or anything like that.
You said the plane was built in 1977.
That's correct.
A plane of that age, could that be a concern? The age
There
of that
are
aircraft?
thousands of aircraft that are older than that. All aircraft are inspected. All certified aircraft are inspected on an annual basis to maintain their any anomalies or any type of structural issues or anything like that. It should be caught by them.
What kind of pre-flight checklist does a plane like this go through before it takes off at an airport like this?
Every airplane has its own checklist, and it's up to the pilot to ensure that he's got the proper checklist for the aircraft. But it's generally, most aircraft are approximately the same, checking the fuel, checking it for any obvious anomalies.
At what point did you say we can expect that final report after the 30-day preliminary?
The final report takes between 12 to 24 months to complete. I'll take one more question.
What challenges, if any, do you see in this investigation?
Every accident is different. This one's just like that. We've got a bunch of different challenges here. Fortunately, the wreckage is relatively easy to get to. It is on the railroad tracks, so that is impeding railroad traffic at this time. But everybody's been extremely helpful, and so far it's going quite well for how short I've been here.
A plane like this does not have a black box, or does it?
It does not have an official, what would be called a black box, which would really be a flight data recorder or a cockpit voice recorder. They don't have it. They're not required to have it. But there are avionics in the aircraft that might have saved some data, such as engine parameters, autopilot parameters, such like that. So as long as they're not damaged, they're not crash hardened like a black box. As long as they're in good enough shape, we can send them to our experts back at headquarters, and they can get information off of it.
Where will the wreckage be taken to further examine it?
It's going to a salvage facility up in Jacksonville. Correct.
And we were talking about the
that was the last
railroad
question.
tracks. Do we know when they'll open back up?